So do
Right.
what you can do,
Okay.
whatever motivates you. Take those little steps.
That also, just again, when I ask you to coach me on this, doesn't that point back to the ideal of being selfish? She didn't want to look good for the wedding for her fiance. She wouldn't look good for the wedding for herself. That mindset sounds like that motivated her to not only get in shape, but her mind changed. Would you say that's the case for a lot of people? That mindset, okay, I'm going to do this for myself. It's going to make me better, and
Mhm.
therefore everybody else will be better.
Let's actually talk about the analogy that we created in the Sit and Succeed program last night. And in situations where you're in a challenging situation and it feels like somebody is angry, sad, mad, it feels attacking. If you receive the energy around you, it doesn't feel good. And there's another technique. Okay, let's go out there and change the situation and project love out to them. And that can be very wearing. And then we practice the third option, which is saying the mantra, I am love. And so this is interesting because there's some concern around selfishness, but at the same time, we need more words for selfishness, if that makes sense. Selfishness when it's not great is when you're not aware or
Uh,
caring at all about what's going on for other people. Selfishness when you're tuning into what you need and who you are and being you, it is a very different thing, and that automatically projects light. So I started changing the way I post on social media. I actually used to, even back when we had cameras instead of phones, I wouldn't take photos of myself on trips. I went, I know what I look like. All the people said, we want to see photos of you.
right,
So I started
right.
taking a few photos of me. Then when I started doing social media and I would post these amazing quotes from the Dalai Lama and Mother Teresa, and yeah, a couple people would like it. I would post a photo, simple photo of me doing something enjoyable in life, or just my face after I got this amazing haircut. And hundreds of people will like it. Our pure joy is what inspires other people. So, yes, in a way, in this definition of selfish, when we're more self tuned in, then we shine light, we shine love, and we create a greater impact on other people.
Okay,
This is also why a big part of my mission right now is hosting fun events. Let's create
right.
opportunities to just create enjoyment, and that'll inspire everything else that we need.
In a small nutshell,
Mhm.
there you described emotional intelligence, and I'm wondering when it comes to your work, you don't really talk about the technical things like that. I don't believe, but does it ever cross your mind that they are crossing over to each other? Emotional intelligence, self-assessment, self-regulation, and how you affect other people. And there's one other part to it, but those three parts you just described.
Yep.
Do you ever, like when you're coaching somebody, do you ever say, okay, listen, you're an analytical type of person. Let me tell you why this works. Do you ever do that type of work with people, or is it just getting down to the feelings and the base issues?
I don't like to label people.
Okay.
I have studied systems that give me labels so that I can understand certain direction to help support people, but I don't need to tell them what the label is because then I'm putting them in a bucket and kind of limiting the opportunity for change going forward. But yes, I will use the wisdom from things like that in order to help people progress and move forward. Ultimately, our greatest growth and our greatest success is going to come not just from the emotional intelligence and maturity, but also from knowing how to process and work with our emotions.
Right, right.
So again, go back to that arranged marriage analogy that I mentioned before. We are permanently married to our minds and our emotions, but
Yeah.
we can actually change partners in any second, or a partner can completely change in any second if you change that analogy around a little bit. So we're not stuck with that old partner with those old emotions. We
Yeah.
can tune in into a different radio frequency at any moment.
Interesting. Okay. At any moment, you can tune in. How hard is it to jump to a new frequency, or I think some people just call it quantum jumping or quantum leaping into a new frequency of feeling. How do you have a method or a way to teach that? I know you do, but let me give you the opportunity. So,
Yeah, yeah. I want to say this first because this is what's popping in my head. Abraham Hicks, if you've heard of her, so there's a woman named Esther Hicks who channels, right, a group of beings named Abraham. And the very first time that she meditated, she started to hear them. And she explains how did that happen? Because she didn't have resistance.
mhm,
She didn't have resistance. So in a way, it is up to us as to how quickly are we going to transform, change things, move to the next state of growth based on our choice.
right,
We're
right.
tying back in that choice word because Maureen was choosing to believe the doctors and go into death.